is about to be made. A new dimension is coming where the language of symbols lets man and machine communicate logically. Presenting
Video Burnout.
Oh, but honey, she just arrived. She has no place to stay. Do you? Your car in the driveway. It's full of suitcases.
She has me a puppet.
Oh. Maggie, this is Jillian. Jillian, this is Maggie.
Hello, Maggie. It's nice to meet you.
Did you leave the front door open again?
I did it.
Oh, kids, don't run. Oh. Well, did Tim show you your room?
Yes, he did.
Is it all right?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Good. Then it's settled. Okay, well, Doc, you help me unload the car. And, Jillian, you'll want to unpack. And just let us know if you need anything, okay?
Okay. Is this all right?
Welcome to the family.
Is this movie real? You guys, am I holding a movie right now? Or is it just my imagination?
I don't see anything.
It feels like I'm holding a movie, but... Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's Invisible Child, this week's selection. So, would you care to make any opening remarks about this movie before I read the back for the good people?
I think the back should describe it perfectly.
I think we should point out that this was Justin's call.
It's worth pointing that out.
I have no idea why you thought this would be good.
It's a touching movie. Yes, about family values.
Somehow, this is week 2.
It feels
we went
much
to
longer.
Invisible Child. This is like bottom. We should have been on this like if for some reason we were doing this 20 years down the road. It's like, what have we not done yet? Oh, all right.
We're separating the wheat from the chaff. If you can't get through this, you're never going to be able to get through Ninja Vengeance.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, okay, Invisible Child. Annie is the perfect wife and loving mother of 2 children who believes she has a 3rd child named Maggie. Only Maggie does not exist. Her husband Tom hires Jillian to become their nanny. The whole family has played along with Annie's delusions for years, hoping it would pass. Jillian is asked to do the same. Months later, Jillian decides to try and help Annie and does some research on her own. Unintentionally, she alerts authorities, who launch an investigation. Will she be responsible for having Annie institutionalized and taken from her family? A family that Jillian has grown to love? Tough stuff
we'll
there.
We'll never know.
Tough stuff.
Well, that was a good episode, guys. I think that was solid.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think we covered the bases.
What was that, Maggie? I thought you said you put Maggie to bed.
I thought Maggie was swinging in the backyard.
Maggie, what are you doing out here right now? Maggie, what did you think about the...
Why are you over there, Maggie?
Oh, my God. Okay, so
let's talk about this opening image from the movie, which is also on...
I don't know if the camera can pick that up very well, but there's this drawing right here.
So it's a picture drawn by a child of mommy, daddy, Doc, me, and Sam, but me clearly doesn't exist and is actually pictured as being blank. So who has drawn this? Is it Maggie? Is it the mom? Is this like the next phase of her delusion?
I would call this a classic existential nightmare because I don't know who is supposed to have drawn this or who did draw it. It makes no sense at all, and it's the opening image for the film where they roll the opening credits. What do you have to say, Jay?
I think it's a metaphor. Because that's what somebody who watches this film and likes it would have to say about everything in this movie. The whole thing is supposed to be what? Like a take on mental illness and the way that you cope with it as a family, and rather than acknowledging the thing out of love, you learn to accept the problems of the people around you, which eventually cause you problems down the road. I would say that's a warm way to speak of the film, but it's done with the finger painting skill of Hallmark. So none of that's really, it's all just like finishing sentences. Oh yeah, well, what were you going to say? Oh, everybody's finishing the words off, and so warm. And the mental illness is just warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, it's so easy.
It's fine. The world doesn't understand it. They don't understand how this holds our family together. And everybody wants to take blame, except for Rita Wilson, who we were talking earlier, going into this about, being married to Tom Hanks. He's doing Philadelphia while this is going on, type thing. And if anybody gave her the green pass, this is Rita Wilson's Mazes and Monsters.
Okay.
So anybody that's seen Mazes and Monsters would know the way it wraps up is it's a shorter, condensed version of that, where, oh, this person's insane. Then you get to the ending and it's just, oh, okay, that was the thing. Like, there's no wrap up in this film. I mean, that's
No, it's a very hastily and not believable wrap up that comes around.
So,
Boy, is it unbelievable.
And the opening, really, it opens with a nanny showing up from England.
She answers the ad.
There's an ad that was put out. The husband doesn't know about it.
Which specifically says the two qualifications for being a nanny in this house are must love children and must have a sense of humor.
Good catch. I didn't catch that.
So she shows up. The husband's confused. The daughter shows them around. They explain to her the situation.
Immediately tell her, which was wild.
And
because she has to play along almost immediately, because the wife gets home from wherever with the imaginary child, the invisible child. Excuse me.
Her being from England, it's brushed over that she's here illegally. That's mentioned at some point. She's 100% on board with it.
Yeah, almost from the start.
Here for the money and the adventure, or something along those lines. She says later on,
because she's taking care of her mom. I think is like part of it.
Growing up, yeah. Oh, that's so.
She's been taking care of like the brothers and sisters.
Unselfish is what they say.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say it was unselfish.
Yeah.
But I would say it's unselfish.
I totally think that gets into like the deeper message of the movie, without doubt.
But it's Hallmark, so the deeper message is probably in the trailer, which I watched the movie, so I didn't need to watch the trailer. I'd seen enough. I've seen this 4 times now. I guess this will be the 4th. How many times have you sat through this, Zoe?
I don't like to think about it, but at least that many times.
I'm only 2, so I guess I'm a neophyte when it comes to Invisible Child.
What made you recommend this film?
Honestly, I really don't know. Like, we were trying to come up with titles that I knew you two owned because I'd seen them with you, and that one just kind of popped into my head, and then it was like back and forth on which one, and then it was like, okay, let's just do Invisible Child. Like, really, there was not much thought given to it, which to my detriment.
Well, it was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah. Do you think that Tom Hanks later took his role in Castaway to show his wife how you talk to somebody who doesn't actually exist?
That's a deep one.
Well, yeah, but Tom Hanks isn't trying to convince us that Wilson's alive.
No, but all like Rita Wilson. I mean, this happens in a lot of bad movies where the acting isn't good, obviously. But sometimes I have a lot of sympathy for the actor, where it's like this role is impossible. Like Meryl Streep could be in there. It doesn't matter. That's gonna suck. Rita Wilson is just bad. Like bad even by the low ceiling that this movie sets.
She plays similarly, she plays the role as she does in Story of Us. And she's over the top and dramatic in that one, but she's funny and enjoyable in Story of Us. And this one, she has nothing. The cast in this is actually all fine. I mean, they have all gone on to do things that you've enjoyed them in, and they don't drop the ball. And oh my God, that score though makes anybody look bad.
The classic Lifetime score.
Somebody leaning on, like they went to Target or whatever store you go to, It said, I just want that keyboard. Oh, is this for your 10-year-old son who wants to learn to play the keyboard? No, actually, I'm scoring a film for Hallmark. Oh, which one's the string setting? And then it's just like over all of it, just obnoxious. And then there's the classical guitar the whole time, but really it's the strings, and the whole thing's just like it's NCIS or something, just the dramatic
or the wistful looking off camera, what they're thinking.
You guys, I hate to backtrack, but it just occurred to me. Rita Wilson is married to Tom Hanks, who in Castaway was attached to a ball named Wilson. Maybe there's some truth to the theory that that whole thing was a total dig at his wife. I don't know. Sorry,
Yeah,
it took me like 2 minutes to put that together. Sorry to backtrack.
I thought it was product placement, but that is. I like to think that Tom Hanks has like even more of a sense of humor about all that. I really took this role because we were in an argument about.
You can't act against nothing, Tom. I tried.
Maggie now. No, you don't.
I like Rita Wilson in a lot of ways. I just don't like this movie. So it's and I don't fault anybody for taking the film.
No, you make a paycheck. I do want to say about the actors, two in particular deserve video burnout nominations. Victor Garber as the dad, I think, is pretty excellent for what he has to work for.
Yeah.
He's almost so good that it throws the movie off because the idea of the movie is so dumb, but he is so sincere and committed to it that I'm constantly thinking, what is this fucking guy's agenda? Like, what is this guy trying to do? There's a lot of moments in this movie that feel like this was like a script for a horror movie that somehow landed in Lifetime, and they just changed the ending. And his performance is part of that. Second is Mae Whitman, who would go on to play Anne in Arrested Development. She plays not only like a really believable kid, but a really believable smart kid.
Yes.
And them together have the two best scenes in the whole movie. Like, I kind of just wish it was a movie about like a somewhat stodgy but understanding and very loving dad who is constantly put on his back foot by his like interesting and more wild younger daughter,
Punky Brewster.
Yeah, like they together are fantastic in this movie. Despite how ridiculous everything they have to say and are, they do good work. Like, they are really good in this movie, I think.
I agree with you. However, I have a question, and I want to check my notes. To make sure I get it right. Okay, the daughter's name was Doc. Her nickname was Doc. Her name was Rebecca. Mm-hmm. Doc was short for Rebecca.
I'm Doc. That's short for Rebecca.
How does that work?
I had that same question when they said it. I've never heard that, but I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a cool nickname.
It's cool to have a precocious daughter named Doc, but like, how is that connected to Rebecca? I mean, come on.
I don't know. I have never heard that.
Maybe
before.
It's a small point and I should let it go, but
maybe it's in the extended cut. Which, thinking of an extended cut, actually, this film feels dead on like the cut version of Woman Wanted. That is exactly what this movie feels like. And Woman Wanted is the cut version is just a Hallmark unwatchable film that says Volvo like 8 times rather than 14 times. All the enjoyable parts about it, I loosely use the term enjoyable, are gone from it. So maybe out there is a director's version of Invisible Child with the actual emotional, because everything's so calm. Mm-hmm. Even when the cops show up. And well, okay, so let's explain the nanny's role through all this.
Yeah,
that's worth exploring.
How do we explain how? Because she suddenly, she goes, she's nervous about this thing. She starts thinking it's unhealthy, as I feel like that's a reasonable plot point.
Most definitely.
You know? She goes to Child Protective Services.
Well, she goes to a psychiatrist first.
Yes, and the psychiatrist seems like they actually just called up a psychiatrist. What would you diagnose this with? It's got a little bit of depth to it, and it almost seems, well, you got to worry. The youngest child's the one you have to really worry about here, and this is probably, so that part would have been nice if they were using that as like a dialogue to address the film through, but that's dismissed. And then the husband explains later on that he went to all the psychiatrists and talked to him about it because he couldn't bear it to put his wife, to have her, they'd lock her up. You know, and it's like, well, maybe they wouldn't lock her up. Maybe you know, a couple months of
Why is that the next step?
Yeah, I mean, we're not to believe that she's schizophrenic. You know, we're not to believe that
or dangerous in any way that I could see.
And
could you?
No. I mean, the way the movie lays it out, this is like pretty much the only sort of weird thing that she's ever done. That she has no other mental illness other than this.
And she's so sweet and nice. They mention that over and over again. The husband takes the blame for it. You know, he'd been focusing on his work, and you know, so she brought this on to pull the family together. Which, I mean, I personally have had enough of the, you know, children bring our family together concept that is. I've never seen it in practice work well, but
It doesn't
all right.
always actually work out that way.
Especially with a child that's not actually there.
And also Hallmark, which is notorious for doing films that deal with abuse, and you know, they do it with a soft, comforting touch that's, I think, does an injustice to all of it. But this one's even like, even that's dealt with so poorly. It just deals with the husband is blaming himself, and then back to the nanny part of it is just that she's so concerned about this. She needs to do something about it. But then when the cops show up and they talk about they're going to take it away, her attitude is totally, oh no. They're the best family ever. I made it up. It was about a neighbor, whatever. So she like changes the story around with the cops that she called to be there. It's so confusing. And then where's the film go from there? So they're about ready to take the kid from her, and now the cops come in. And then suddenly Rita Wilson, she's unaware that the cops come. So that's something else. She does not know that CPS has come in to look at the kids. So unaware of that, she builds up an illness for this child who slowly dies through the film. Starts with a fever. They lose her at the fair.
It's that fever thing. Oh, she's not feeling well.
Oh, do you see the angel in the corner to the kid that actually believes the child is real, the youngest one?
Or the saddest scene when she makes the dad take the invisible kid to the hospital, and the dad has to have a fake appointment for an ulcer just to mask the fact that Maggie wouldn't actually be going to the doctor.
Complete with lollipop.
A grown man has to lie about this. And then there's that strange... Okay, so... I feel this is kind of folding it on your point, Jay, so I apologize. But this is one of the dumbest movies I've watched, of the bad movies we've watched. Like Circuitry Man 2 and a lot of the other ones are dumb, but they feel like they're all dumb in their world. Like the whole world is just dumb. This movie, you're constantly being reminded of how bad an idea this is. They go to the therapist. The therapist says this is really bad for the young boy. They go to Child Protective Services. They say this is really bad for them. The nanny clearly doesn't think this is on the up and up. The dad's explanation is so hollow of just, I was working a lot, so she invented a kid so I wouldn't. Everything in the movie is just, look at how bad an idea this is, and you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, for Rita Wilson to be looked at, for Rita Wilson to be talked to confronted, and that never happened.
Come on, you don't hear Maggie complain.
So I've never seen a movie that so openly and constantly and intelligently criticizes its very foundation. That's just, I've just never seen that before, that I can think of.
You're saying the unreality of this movie keeps grinding up against, you know, its own ridiculousness, and in ways that point itself out.
That is a great way of saying it. That is exactly right.
Even whenever they're taking, so come to find out, the mom has been following the nanny to school when she drops off the kids. And one of her criticisms about the nanny is that she doesn't walk the kids to their class. She just drops them off at the door. And so that right there, if she was walking those kids in every day for the last 10 years, she would already not met the kid's teacher.
You would think so.
Unless the dad was there every day. You know, the dad was the one that, I would guess that we could...
The dad does take him to school. That's weird.
So...
Yeah.
But then whenever the thing with the art on the cover is that initially whenever we were... who drew that? I was thinking it was the scene where they do like a parent-teacher conference. And the mom goes up to the teacher and says, I don't see any of Maggie's paintings anywhere.
Yeah.
What kind of, and then the kid and the dad are making excuses about why. And then Doc hides a painting on a desk, which obviously Doc painted, which is supposed to be Maggie's. And that seems like that little, whenever the teacher comes up and then the kid pretends like she's getting sick in the middle of, where's Maggie? Oh, whatever, the teacher's supposed to be confused, but they dodge it and go off, which isn't done in a zany way.
She just pretends she's going to throw up.
It's the movie. The problem with Hallmark films, and I'm yet to watch the Mario Lopez KFC movie, but I'm assuming they're sticking to form, even though I'm guessing this was 99, 2000 when this came out, something like that.
I don't know.
They have not gotten away from that formula. I keep expecting Hallmark ends up with its own channel on streaming. You keep expecting they're going to get all this more money put in. They like what they do.
Yeah.
And what they do is deal with really heavy situations in a way that feels like the conflict is handled like a soap opera, but in a real life setting. Very, very strange to me. I have a hard time understanding.
Yeah.
Hallmark films. I don't understand the audience
who is this movie for is one question I've been meaning to ask.
Well, it used to be such a sexist thing to be like, it's for housewives and they can't,
that's how Lifetime is like marketed, is just for, this is like a woman's network.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, the women deserve better than this.
But then with Oprah's network, they deal with the same type of topics, but they get a little bit more of an edge to it. They actually sink a little bit of a teeth into it, which is, I don't expect people to be watching like, Irreversible or something, as part of dealing with the social problems of the world. Like, I get it, but it just feels like, I don't know, like Sunday school or something, hearing some mom come up. It's like, my kid was watching Harry Potter over the weekend and I'm terrified it's going to ruin their life. It's like that mom is who these movies are for.
Yeah.
But like being a fan of these films seems to be like you almost choose to be insulated.
Oh, let it go, Jelly. I have. So's Maggie.
By the film itself. Like, you don't want to deal with the real thing. Why would you sit through an hour-and-a-half film about an imaginary kid if you don't want to at least deal with something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the film ends. Like, it seems like we shouldn't talk about the ending until we get to the end of this thing, but the movie ends with the kid dies. They say a prayer, and then it's over.
No, they have the burial in the backyard. Don't
Yeah,
forget
they
that.
bury her in the backyard with a giant rock as her headstone, which if the mom still believes that Maggie's alive, you'd think that would have to be a thing. Like, when we call the funeral home.
Yeah.
And she's not even that sad. I mean, there's that scene, like, right before it where the dad and Doc go talk to Maggie, and you can see the mom's kind of awake with the baby monitor.
Oh, yeah, she's put the baby monitor
She's
in
put
there.
it in, you see her eyes open afterwards. So I kind of feel the idea is supposed to be that she confronts that in herself, but they make no effort to really show her confronting that. And then she's just like, oh, Maggie's dead. And then she seems pretty upset about it, but not nearly as upset as you'd be if your child actually got
She's
sick
with the
and
angels.
then died. She's with the angels. She's with the angels.
It was almost like a relief, it seemed to me.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
which they don't deal with the fact of whether she had been dealing with the mental issue herself, when she became aware that this was a problem, that the fake reality she created had now filtered over. Once again, the CPS thing is unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
She does not know about that happening. At least that's my take in the film.
No, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
So the timing on it is just works for dramatic sort of attempt, as in a film, to have these two conflicts happening at the same time. But never once is her mental illness actually dealt with at all.
It had a happy ending. Let it go.
No.
We accept her and we love her, and it's like if Hallmark was made for men, it would be for the belligerent, drunk, asshole father who just one day decided to quit drinking. And that's the end.
Yeah.
Like, there's never you ruined my childhood, you forgot all my baseball games. There's none of that. It's just, he's sober now.
He's done.
Would you like another tea, Dad?
And there are plenty of scenes that go like right along with that, where they show Rita Wilson not playing with her kids because she's got to play with Maggie instead. They give gifts to Rita Wilson, and Rita Wilson's like, "Oh, give them to Maggie." So many times she's just doing things like she's not spending time with her husband because she's got to spend it with Maggie. Oh, the horrible image of when the nanny first takes Maggie and the son, the actual kid, to school, and Doc says, don't forget to eat Maggie's lunch. That's what Daddy does.
That's one of my favorite lines.
The sad image of this adult architect, I think he is, just sitting there eating like a PB&J and like a squeeze box because, he's got to keep his wife, he's got to keep her illusions real, all that. Like, it's, oh man.
Speaking of which, I would like to speak just up for a little bit about story structure and all that, character development, these things. Not to belabor the point, but 3,000 years ago, Aristotle laid it all out about, what makes a good story and how to develop it and how to make, how to develop characters and blah, blah, blah.
He's the first one who said you shouldn't deal with mental issues.
not all the way anyway.
Yeah, I believe that was him.
But yeah, you need one protagonist that can have many flaws, but the story is about the protagonist overcoming a flaw. And how does that happen? And there's all these steps along the way, and it gets pretty complicated. But would you agree that the British maid or nanny was the main character?
She is the protagonist.
Yeah,
right.
I'd agree with that.
Okay.
But overcoming the flaw is...
Okay, so here's what I think it is. I think that her flaw was that she was honest.
Oh yeah.
And because remember at one point she says, I don't lie. Right? But then at the end, in order to fix the mess that she had helped create with her honesty, she lies right to their face and gets the kid and everybody in on a coordinated lie. And that's like the big dramatic reveal from a story point of view. And so this movie is trying to sell you that honesty is bad and you need to lie, is the way I read it.
See, that's where... Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you can go ahead.
That's where I got the idea of the alcoholism from. Was the idea that if somebody comes into your family, a Thanksgiving thing, which the version that we watched this week was not the DVD version. We watched the one that's on YouTube, which has all the Hallmark clips that pop up on it. There's Thanksgiving special, the haunted house,
haunted
which
house.
I cannot wait to find the haunted house, whatever that is. It's
going to be great.
But that's what I felt like was the message of the film seems to be when you come into somebody's house for their Thanksgiving, like, my uncle's a racist, Nazi asshole. We love him. So just don't say anything to him. If you have a problem, we'll go outside and have a cigarette. We'll be fine.
And if he wants you to give that salute, well, just do it.
None of us would closet over Nazi reactions, I'm sure. But at the same time, that's what their attitude is. It's like, and the more time you spend around our family, the more you're going to learn to accept his belligerent asshole ways, because we're a family bond and we're beautiful, and you're going to be thankful to be a part of the dysfunctional parts as much as the beauty, because that's us. And I think that speaks to the Hallmark audience. And that's not, I'm sure there's people that watch great films and have great criticism about films that enjoy Hallmark films. That's fine.
It's true of any
But
movie.
in general, it seems to be that the audience is the type of person that doesn't want to do anything about their problems. They just want to see them in a cute little way for an hour and a half and then be done, because that's the way the ending of the film feels.
Yeah.
That's the
This was just a minor hiccup
the
in these
nanny
people's
was the
lives.
problem. The nanny created the conflict. The problem would have worked itself out on its own, which is essentially the kid dying at a separate time. She would have been locked up. She would have been locked up. She would have been locked up. So they said, but they were going to lock her up. It's like, yeah, if it was 1940, we don't just lock people up. I mean, I'm sure that somebody could be listening to this like, oh, well, my aunt got locked up. It's like, I'm sorry that happened. You know, but I feel like this scenario...
This is a bad representation of that issue if you are having that problem.
You don't have to be so dramatic on the end of it. Like, this is literally therapy would have helped everyone in this family out. The little boy's going to need therapy the rest of his damn life.
Yeah. If not the older daughter.
Also, in the film, we find out that Doc actually believes the child is real. That's another one of the things they throw in at the end. Because she's talking to her as though, you know, well, oh, and I love how they spin. Well, people believe in Santa and the Easter Bunny.
MLK. That was the one I was like,
I have a dream speech. They mentioned MLK's
no.
I have a dream speech.
went
People
there.
believe in that.
He had a dream and nobody else believed in it, but he did.
Santa Claus is an established cultural fantasy. Now, when somebody has a fantasy that nobody else does, Rebecca, that's a very different thing.
Oh. Like Martin Luther King. We studied him. He had a dream. No one else had it.
This is exactly the same. Why would you try to tear away our family for believing in Martin Luther King's dream?
Oh my God, yes. So the daughter's there and she's talking to the imaginary kid.
I kind of took that more as she's talking to herself in a way.
Okay.
That's how I took that. I don't know. I mean, the movie's not well done, so it's a think piece.
I thought of it as like a farewell speech, and I thought it was funny that the dad went in there and gave his own one, and, and then the sister did. I was waiting for the 4-year-old kid to go in there and give a...
I really loved it when we play in the sandbox. And your thing about that lying is the hurdle she has to overcome. I have a counter idea.
Okay.
Because I think this movie has like two possible meanings, but the big one I'm pretty sure on is family at all costs, no matter what. So one of the big issues for the mom with the nanny, or issues, but one of the nanny's big things is that she used to take care of her dad died, and she used to take care of her younger siblings, and Rita Wilson tells her how unselfish. Oh, that's so unselfish. And that when she tells Rita Wilson that she came over to America on this plane, they have this scene where they have to take Maggie to the bathroom. It's incredibly embarrassing, where they have to close the door on an empty stall and a woman's waiting in line, and it goes, well, if you're not going to use it, do you mind if I go in there? And Rita Wilson says, oh, my daughter's in there. But she's talking about coming over from England to America. And Rita Wilson says this line that goes, some people can live, or, how does it go? Damn. So many people in the world live alone. That's just foreign to me.
I remember that.
Yeah, and how the nanny doesn't have a family, has left her family behind to come to America for whatever reason she wants to. And to me, the obstacle she overcomes is embracing family. It's no longer being alone, no longer doing things for yourself, no longer setting out on an adventure for anything, but now she's not thinking for herself, she's thinking with the family in mind, no matter what. You do anything to keep the family together, no matter the cost. I mean, why did this all start? Because the dad was away too often doing work. So now we've got an invisible kid to bring him back. Now we've got another kid. To me, that's like the deep message of this movie, is it doesn't matter what, you always keep the family together. Family above everything.
Eric, did this guy or woman that directed this film, since you're our fact checker, I guess,
There's not much information on IMDb.
did he have anything to do with My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Okay.
I would be.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's what. It's that type of film, but not even on that level. And I'm not even a fan of that. But it's
a woman director.
Okay.
She actually died this year.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Good job, Jay.
She's known for some movies from the 70s and 80s. One of them is called Hester Street. The other one is Between the Lines.
Oh my God! Between the Lines.
Yeah. You know that movie?
Yeah, no. What is that?
You were selling me on that. You sold me on that so far.
I was biting. I was biting.
It's
by far the best title. Finnegan Begin Again.
The children's book turned into a movie.
And Chilly Scenes of Winter.
The chilly
See, that
scene of winter.
we're gonna say chilly scenes of winter. That's a
Invisible
hallmark.
Child is up there on her resume. It's up there.
If that's in the top 4 on your IMDb picture thing, then you got problems.
Well, it's better than I got.
True, yeah. I've never made $1 making any of my movies, so
I don't see any checks rolling in from sitting in front of our tape rack. So congrats for making a Hallmark film.
Good.
You know,
It's nothing good.
that actually, I believe you're wrong about that because according to IMDb on my phone, you say nothing good. I just wanted to point out. Let's just take a moment to say that our opinions are probably possibly wrong. So we're going to go through just real quick here. Let's just go through some user reviews on IMDb, which, to be fair, is the only way to know about a film.
yes.
Genuinely original and moving. All right, that's good. We'll go skip past that one.
I think that's the one I wrote.
That was 8 out of 10. Yes. J-Trap 1, that's you?
That
Okay.
is so me.
Okay, J-Trap 1.
Just in the trap.
There's like 618 reviews of this, so you know, and 12 out of 16 people found the genuinely original moving titled one helpful. Okay, the next one, very insightful, all lowercase but with exclamation points, a lot of exclamation points. This one's from Go Psycho. That's 7 out of 10. Once in a while comes a movie that can really be appreciated just for the story. Can't argue with that. That's true.
Okay.
That's a true statement, but it has nothing to do with Invisible Child.
1 out of 10. Okay, this one, Seabast 1. This is good. You have to not see it to believe it.
That's clever. I wish that was the name of this episode. That's really clever.
It's better than, best Lifetime movie ever! Exclamation points between them.
Perhaps.
Interesting. Rubbish. Come on. Best Lifetime movie ever. Warning spoilers. Dreadful beyond words. I'm sorry, but probably the worst made for TV movie in existence. You're wrong, West Van critic, but I like the spirit. Interesting and sad family crisis. 8 out of 10. And I think we've seen... Oh, okay. Here, we're just going to see what this guy has to say. Oh, bother. The second worst movie I've ever seen. And he says, I've seen a lot of movies. This was even worse than Elevator Girls in Bondage.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
I know there's a movie I want to see now.
Yeah.
Elevator Girls in Bondage. If Roger Corman didn't make it, it's probably watchable. So,
It's the best movie Roger Corman may or may not have made.
yes. So... I feel like that speaks to what some people love it. Some people like this cat that's just below the camera.
The cat that is about to attack my vulnerable feet
Cat,
at any
you'll
moment.
probably see it at some point, is named Boobs. And it is part of the Burnout Collective over here. And
He's a mascot.
he is a murderous, raging asshole.
That's true, too.
But
You guys don't even know the half of it. I have to live with
I
him.
don't. I avoid the cat at all
I hope you tell Maggie not to sneak out of that bedroom again. This cat's about a third
Maggie
of
got eaten by the cat.
Oh my god.
Oh no, Maggie's
Oh
been
no,
eaten by
it's
the
some
cat.
other's invisible child. That one doesn't have curly hair and blue eyes.
Oh,
No, it's green
thank
eyes.
God. Thank God. There's a moment when the doctor's office visit where he pretends he has the ulcer, and the doctor tells him, "Oh, that's strange. You had a fever and then your stomach hurt. That's really weird. Maybe it's all in your head."
Yes, normal doctor
does not feel like a normal doctor, obviously, but it does feel like a line that would set up this husband going to confront his wife about her issues. It sounds like the doctor would say that, and then he would go like, "Oh, that connects to me in some way."
Yes.
And then he'd go home and say, to move past, we need to move past
because the
this.
camera does focus on the husband.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all in your head, and he's just.
It's clearly a setup for something, but all it's used for is just to remind us the main plot of the movie an hour and 12 minutes in. It feels, I really did wonder watching it if that the ending had to be changed at some point. At some point, this was supposed to be, but we're saying it is, where Rita Wilson gets confronted, and they, as a family, deal with her issue, and then as a family they move on. And
Or she
that
murders
got
everyone,
changed.
either way.
I mean, that's the good ending. But that at some point that got changed by somebody. It really does feel like there was a rewrite, a studio mandated, actor mandated something that changed it from that to Maggie's dead. End of movie.
Problem solved.
Well, they say the Lord's Prayer.
They say the Lord's Prayer.
Because Hallmark, you got to pull in the Christian crowd a little bit.
I think that is their crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to believe there's Christians out there with good taste in films, but
There must be, statistically speaking.
But there's enough of them without it that you can have a whole channel set up around
Hallmark films are safe. It's like turning on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hear anything that's, well, I guess that's kind of changed now too. But for a long time, you could just hear train songs, and
Yeah.
it's like that was it. So yeah, maybe that's what their audience is for, is Christians that don't want to live in complete denial. But like the denial part is the confusing thing about this film, because you talk about the doctor and the bathroom scene. Every time they're explaining this, they remind us at home that we're not crazy for thinking that's what you should be saying.
Yeah.
Even though when I say it like that's what you should be saying, those are not my thoughts while watching the film. I'm way more excited when I say it. It's when like, we all know that's what you should be saying.
You should have been saying it in the
Oh
first
my God.
act.
Like,
Why is nobody listening to the nanny before they start listening to the nanny and she's on board with it?
the beautiful thing about this film is that when you flip it on the back and you see it's an hour and 23 minutes, and you've been through it before, that is the one beautiful thing about it. That's what, even mentioning the Tom Hanks Mazes and Monsters, like that movie feels like it's 4 hours long. This one does feel long, but the rhythm's there. You know where you're, okay, here's where the thing's going. So I mean, it accomplishes the moment of watching a movie, and we get to get in and out. And that, when it wraps up, I'm so happy, because what the film needs is another 30 minutes. I mean,
Ish, yeah.
10 minutes even of just screaming in a room or whatever.
Literally one scene would have been not good, but at least would have addressed
Just more
that.
Keyboard over. Honestly, I get how you write this, but I imagine whoever wrote it wasn't picturing the film to be what it is, and it really kind of, the thing that made me, that it kept popping in my mind this time through, was that it felt like that swinger couple that goes to a Renaissance fair.
What the hell does that mean?
Like, this is...
You have to explain that one to me.
I don't... That's what the whole plot just feels like these weird... We're weird, and we have this weird dynamic or whatever. Like, it's got this edge to their reality. Our reality is this weird thing. And that plucking classical guitar over it, so Renaissance fair.
Think about it.
The whole time.
Oh, I see what you mean.
The whole time I was like, this is, in the beginning, feels like a horror film. Like, you're expecting at some point it's going to get this dark edge.
Whenever he takes her into the room and he's like, and this is where the nanny sleeps. And she's like, oh, what happened to your last nanny? And he goes, we've never had a nanny. And then he just walks out of the room.
And this is the nanny's room.
This is so lovely. When did your nanny leave?
She didn't. We never had one.
It's like, holy shit.
Yes. That's what I just imagine. This is what somebody's like, if I assume swingers at Renaissance fairs, which are notoriously there.
Okay. I've never heard that.
According
I'll
to
believe
a
it.
certain person that we've talked about off the camera before, that I worked with before.
You learn a lot on this show.
And his wife went there all the time. No, you should come. Nah, I'm good, man. I'm good, Sean. Sean from Texas, not Indiana. If my friends end up seeing this, let's just be real clear.
Yes,
Sean,
not Eric.
not Eric. But yeah, it's that's what I really felt like. It's got this dark thing to it, and then it just ends up being. I would have loved a Hallmark 50 Shades of Grey, it's like this weird dungeon thing, and I mean, I don't even want to joke around about with the kid's involvement in a life. It's already bad enough for him in this film. They don't need more drama. But it's even the potential of how creepy and weird this film could be. They just make safe merge into the safe lane. Like, we go 50 miles an hour into 55, and we're only going down the block, so it's fine. It's so safe.
What a wonderful room. This is so wonderful. This is so lovely.
You're very brave.
That's nice.
You're wonderful. You're perfect.
Perfect.
You're perfect. Oh, it's breathtaking.
I have, so other than the family at all costs thing, I have another idea about what this movie might be about. And this one I might be pulling this out of my ass a bit. So maybe we'll just, yeah. Could this be an anti-abortion movie? Literally from the start, with the picture of the mommy, the daddy, the two kids, and the blank me.
See, you're expecting the plot to come out that she had a miscarriage.
Yes,
or something, right?
exactly.
Or that some tragedy had happened, which would honestly make it more feasible.
Make way more sense.
You know, that's
make
I mean,
way more sense.
That's something that I legitimately, if you put that in the plot, we probably wouldn't be in here talking about it. Because if you just give that a little bit of levity to the film, it makes it almost wrong to talk trash about it. Yeah. And rightfully so. I mean, a loss of a child and not being able to accept that is a heavy, I can only imagine, but that's heavy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But they don't do that. It's like all the things that a writer would do to make, like, I'm a writer. I make something, you know, it's not there. It's not there at all.
Yeah. And it kept feeling to be like, so you have all these reasons on why this child shouldn't exist, but but if the child does exist, the family is happy. You can move along with having the child. And then there's one part when Victor Garber is laying it all out when he tells the nanny about she invented this kid because I was gone from work, blah, blah, blah. And he says that he took her to a therapist, and her response was, "Don't take me in there. They'll take my baby away."
Yes.
I really was thinking a lot. And also, it's Lifetime. We know they have a very like strong Christian tie to Christian viewership. I really wondered the whole time if this was a poorly done anti-abortion movie.
You mean like some kind of metaphor?
Kind of, yeah. Well, metaphor may even be too strong. So we're just like playing at if playing a movie that's yeah, I mean, I guess metaphor is the right way to say it, but if looking at the film in that lens, a lot of the choices to me start to make more sense. They're not good choices. They're not good choices for the story, but if they're trying to have an anti-abortion movie, suddenly some of these things start to make a little more sense.
An anti-abortion movie that doesn't mention the word
that doesn't
one time.
No, and of course this is daytime, Lifetime television. Like you're not going to have, I mean, well, actually that's probably right up Lifetime's alley. I don't know what I'm saying, but it softens it a lot. I don't know. It was just a thought I had.
It seems like Hallmark pulls up. They seem to be the cornerstone of what makes this film wrong, even though there's no reason that we have to believe that it would be different somewhere else. But it's like whenever I was thinking, I'm going back to the Roger Corman thing. It's like the antithesis to that, where Corman believed every 10 minutes you needed nipples.
Yeah,
it didn't matter what happened,
or a baby, or a murder,
but somebody had to be topless. This one seems like all those moments that would be Roger Corman. There's not going to be toplessness, but the real soil of a film to grow out of. It's like Hallmark's like, no, cut that out. It's like, not rewrite it. We're not going to rewrite it. Just cut it out. That's we don't talk about those things. We don't talk about them nicer. We just cut it out.
Do you remember the right before they explained in the kitchen the history of it, how the dad was sitting in the hot tub And then the nanny comes out.
Seemed like it was going to be
and
a steamy
so that
moment.
scene felt like it was going to do something different from where it went.
They end up cooking dinner.
They end up going inside the kitchen and making, I just got to say this, Jay, the two of the crappiest looking pizzas I have ever seen in my life. I mean, go back and watch it. Those pizzas are shite. They would not cook in an oven. The cheese would be burned. The sauce would bubble over. It would start an oven fire. I mean,
let me put a time out real quick. You guys may not believe this, but all these VHS tapes in the world, don't let them fool you. Zoe and I met working at a pizza place.
Shocking, I know.
I know that seems unlikely. So we know good-looking pizzas. They paid for all this. Good-looking pizzas in between.
Consistent pies.
You know, quick smoke breaks outside to get stoned so you can deal with middle management. All of that brought to you by. So, anyways.
And if you're still waiting for your pizza to be delivered,
we ate
this is why.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get Ray on here sometime. He's the third factor to the pizza dilemma here.
He would definitely weigh in.
So this scene before.
So, anyways, about the pizza,
cooking the bad pizza. Oh yeah. So they have the scene where you think there's going to be an affair start happening. And
it sure looks that way because the dude's drinking. He's all buff and perched up there. Look, I'm sure that's the eye candy for the housewives out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene really felt like it was gonna go sinister or sexy, one or the two. I would have settled for either one, but nope, we don't get either one.
It's like for just a moment you really believe that something's gonna happen in this movie, and then they just steal it away from you.
They dangle it right in front of you, and then.
So what is the ratio in real life nannies to husband in a hot tub thing? All right, am I conditioned by the films that I watch? Because the second I saw her coming out, I was like, okay, they're gonna give something for TV. I mean, isn't that what the backbone of TV is? Like an affair of some sort.
Yeah, those sorts of movies, most definitely.
But no, they sit on opposite sides of the hot tub, and it is.
They're only in the hot tub for a second.
Well,
that scene easily could have been in the kitchen.
She explains that she likes coming out there to be alone, and yeah, it made no sense. But it's like, am I wrong? Are we wrong for assuming that?
Do
people normally get in hot tubs at 11 o'clock at night? An employee coworker thing, and it goes totally normal. I guess probably should.
With alcohol involved, though.
But not even just like in real life, but in movies.
Does
that happen very often?
Yes.
And the answer is generally not married man, single attractive woman. I mean,
British
the
accent.
whole British. Oh, baby, you don't have to tell me that. But yeah, it totally feels like we're about to get something.
Like The Babysitter or, any one of those movies that came out in the 90s that were like that.
But nope. Let's just keep talking about how there's a child here that no one can see. What a fantastic movie.
There's a lot of movies that we're going to come across where we recommend people watch them. Do we recommend that people watch this?
I'll start. I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say, if a bunch of people come over and you don't like these people and you want them to leave your home.
Zoe's a sadistic fuck.
You might put this on and just not say anything about it. And I'll bet you that you'll be alone soon enough. So I can recommend it to you in that way. In the same way that Carrie Fisher used to put on the Star Wars Christmas special whenever she wanted her guests to go home. You could do something like that.
So if you need to snort a few more lines like Carrie Fisher, you got your movie.
Dude, if you got to get through this movie with Coke.
Well, you put it on, they leave, and then you're like,
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather recommend people snort lines of salt. Because that's really what you need to get through this movie. I mean, we enjoy bad moments. And this one, Justin's not recommending another movie for a while.
The next one will be another Lifetime movie, so.
I feel like this does set us up for not soon, but Woman Wanted's going to happen out here because if we got away with this one. So if I was going to give you a recommendation, skip this one and somehow find a copy of Woman Wanted. Sutherland's edit recommended.
Oh yeah, the hour 45-minute version is the only way to go. The 90-minute version is where they cut out all the good stuff.
We'll get to that one when we get to that one.
But it's on YouTube.
Yep.
So
which version?
We're into this movie.
Oh yeah, Invisible Child is on.
If you hated yourself, you could watch it on YouTube.
You really could do that. Do you guys have any favorite lines of dialogue that you bothered to
I think that what I said about
collect?
being alone and being so foreign. That how are people so alone? That's just so foreign to me.
Yeah,
that one's top.
That's good. My favorite one is the dad talking to the potential nanny. Maggie is 5 years old, and she exists only in the mind of my wife. That's really putting it out there. That's getting right to the heart of the matter.
I don't have a favorite line, but I do have every moment that Rita Wilson has to reaffirm that everybody else is going along with her film. They're going along with her life, her choice. They're going along with it. But she still turns everything in a way that they're wrong. Like, no, she wasn't on your lap. They wouldn't have let her sit on your lap through the ride. Where'd she go? You know, it's like, it's constantly like, no, you didn't lay her down to bed. It's just over and over again. She's like, you don't know what this child's doing.
It's like a terrible improv actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of that, this movie is a real tour de force, a real powerhouse of pantomime. Like, pretty much all of them have to, like, pretend that they're messing with a child when they're, when they're not.
What about the camera work? When they show the
just
child
pans
for the
down
first
to an
time,
empty
just
chair.
the floor, the chair.
And then just pans back up to... Oh, yes. That carousel scene is the worst scene in the whole movie. It's the worst one in the whole movie.
At least they get it over quick.
Yeah.
Because they go look for the kid, and then the kid's like, no, we found her. Let's go back.
I like how little a shit Doc gives about her crying mom.
No.
Just like, we're good. Let's go back. So, 3 no's. Watch it on YouTube.
Oh, but wait, I have one more favorite line, and she said this really quietly. I had to go back and watch it again. But they're in bed, and she's got her head up against her husband's chest, and she says,
yes.
She says, "Hush, quiet. I'm singing to your heart." But she wasn't singing. She was just laying with her head on his chest. Sorry, that was hilarious. Well, that's Invisible Child. Can't say I enjoyed every bit of the experience, but I thought we had a pretty good talk. Thought we got right down to the heart of the matter. What'd you think, Justin? Okay. What about you, Jay? No. Maggie. Come back here.